How's it going, everyone? This is the David the Past Show on this cold January day, January 27th, 2013. Now, I'm sorry I've been slack with producing, consistent videos. Please apologize. I'm really crazy with a whole lot of bunch of things. But hey, right now is a time to dig into a great subject. Today's subject, we're going to talk about solving rational equations. And now when we're solving rational equations, you can basically understand this as solving equations with fractions and finding common denominators and putting those stuff together and finding the answer to an equation, because that's what equation means. We're finding the answer to a solution to a situation. So let's start with a rather looking, most people will say difficult one, but it's not difficult once we know what we're doing. And the equation is 5 over n cubed plus 5 times n squared equals 4 over n plus 5 plus 1 over n squared. Now, the first thing I noticed in this equation that I can already break this down into two things. I can see this over here, this n squared plus 5 times n squared, and break this down as, hey, this can be when what's the common denominator out of n cubed and 5 times n squared? N squared, right? So I can snag out of n squared times n plus 5. And see how neatly that is? I can already distribute this to each of these sides of the equation, and I get back this again. This n squared plus times n squared times n, and n squared times 5, and I get n cubed plus 5 times n squared. Now, that's exactly what I'm going to do, because as you can see, I have a 5 plus n plus 5 and an n squared all singling out by each other, with this n squared times 5. I mean n squared times n plus 5. So now, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So erase all this stuff just to show exactly what I mean. And with solving rational equations, once you get practice and accustomed to doing it, you'll see that it's not as difficult as it seems. I know a lot of high school students have hard time with stuff like this, which is in algebra 1 or algebra 2 or yada yada yada. And I believe solving rational equations is in algebra 1, because I remember I was covering this in algebra 1 when I was in high school, and I was like, what, when I was in practically, like, I'm thinking 9th grade. So yeah, 9th grade was high school for me. The beginning of high school, I was a freshman. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this 5 over n cubed plus 5 times n squared, and make this as n squared times n plus 5 equals 4 over n plus 5 plus 1 over n squared. Now I have two like terms. Well, I want to have like terms in each of these terms. So I'm going to multiply, like denominators in each of these two terms. Each of these three terms. Like denominators in each of these three scenarios. So I'm going to multiply n plus 5 times n squared and n plus 5 times n squared with n plus 5 with the numerator. Now I can look at it. I have like terms in this term, like terms in this term, and like terms in this term. So I can just cross all this stuff out and just deal with the numerator terms. The numerator terms. So I have 5 equals, let's see, n squared plus n 4 times n squared plus n plus 5. We multiply 1 in each of these two terms. Now that we have this, we just bring this 5 over here. I have n squared plus n minus 5 equals n. So now we have an equation. We can snag out an n in each of these two terms. Have n times, oops, not times, 4n plus 1. Okay. Now, in this case, n is then equal to 0, and then 4n plus 1 is equal to 0. I'm sorry, 4n. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Please be patient with me. Please be patient. Please be patient. I'm so sorry. Plus 1 equals 0, which is really 4n minus 1 divided by 4. N is then equal to negative 1/4 or a quarter. So there you have it. My two solutions for this equation is negative 1/4 and n is equal to 0. And yes, again, if you plug into either of these two terms, you find that these two terms do satisfy this equation. Oops, this equation up here. So yeah, that is solving by rational equations. If you have any questions, please comment, subscribe, or comment, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But for next time, this is David the Pastor. Remember, please to comment, subscribe, like if you like, and see you soon. Thanks.